morning. Thank you for joining today. Today we will be working on the topic configuration training on cameras. Some of you have already attended pre-sales training. The pre-sales training is about model selection, storage calculation, etc. Whereas configuration training focuses on what to do once you have the camera shipped to your office, how to configure the camera, how to install the camera, what to expect from the camera as well. This training is using our camera and configuring it, but the steps are similar. You can use any brand of camera. The configuration steps will be the same, except that in this training, you're using a Wisenet camera and using our tools to configure it, right? So you're going to get training or exposure on how to use our tools to configure our cameras. All right. So before we begin, there are a couple of things that you should keep in mind. One of them is whenever we talk about our cameras, what are the resources that are available about a specific Hanwha camera? In order to get any kind of resource, you need to go to our website, hanwha-security.com. I will give you more details about how the training works and regarding the exam and so on in before the first break. All right, let's get to the topic. In order to get any information about the training, you need to first understand where to download resources about our camera. When you go to our website, Hanwha-Security, if it goes to the Arabic version, you can always change it to English. All right. Okay. All right. Now, your pre-sales team, they have selected, let's say, two cameras or three cameras, and they have given you the handed over the project to you to start commissioning or handle the project. So first thing, what are those cameras? By looking at the model number, you should have an idea what is this camera going to do? How does this camera look like? Right? One of the best tools for that is the toolbox, Wisenet toolbox. How did I go there? Go to the website, put your mouse anywhere, you'll find a Wisenet toolbox. Start fresh, start a new project, go to network camera, fill, refresh everything. Okay, this is the main page. Now you are, let's say, looking for XND6080R. You have a camera which looks like this, right? So when you type in the model number, you get a fair idea of the picture. By looking at the picture, you know this is a dome camera. Okay, you can go ahead and add this. Most likely you will also have a bullet version, X and O. So when you type the model number, you get an idea of from the picture, what is this camera? What about if you have a PTZ? So probably you have a PTZ which looks like this. All right. The first letter tells you X. The first letter X tells you it belongs to X series. You can also have a different camera from Q series. You can have from L series. There are different series in Wisenet, and there is a uh, feature which varies between these two series. We will just have a look at it as we move across the training. If you want to know more details, you can attend the pre-sales training. All right. Now, with this tool, you got an idea what your camera looks like. From this tool, you can also find out whether you have the accessories required for your project, whether you have the right pole mount accessories or wall mount accessories needed for your project. If it is not there, you can always consider it. This camera is always already coming with a back box. If you want a pole mount, you can buy the pole adapter, right? So this is how you get an idea. Then second thing, you can compare what's the difference between these cameras. The differences are in orange, dome, bullet, and PTZ. You can also see from the picture, it's a dome, bullet, and PTZ. Is it outdoor rated? What if you have two cameras which look like this? Right. Let's say you have two cameras which look like dome. How do you know which is indoor and outdoor? You can do a comparison and scroll down. You'll find one of them is IP66 rated. So you know for a fact, okay, this guy is the one that should be installed outdoor. All right. So this is one. Storage calculation was also done using this tool under network camera. Again, we are not going to dive too deep into storage calculation. This is all part of pre-sales training, but you should know where this storage calculation came from. Some your pre-sales team might do it for you. You can always double check for your satisfaction. You can enter the number of days, sorry, cameras. You can enter the number of days, 400 cameras, 31 days. You can edit the settings here. You can change the resolution. You can make it H265. You can edit the frame rate. If you don't usually touch this, but if you are going to adjust the bandwidth, you can also adjust manually. However, most of the projects, 99% of the projects, we leave it as it is. Whatever is a default bandwidth, we use the same. First and second, we don't change. The third one, it depends on the project. Are you using motion recording? Then leave it as motion. Are you using continuous recording? Then make it all continuous. So you can adjust that. You can do it again. You have to do for each camera separately. All right, so you got the idea how the storage calculation was done. Now, if you are probably there is a chance you might work on this because maybe two, three cameras were added and you have to verify the storage once again, right? You can take a report here, bandwidth. How did I click? Just click on the third button, report, bandwidth, scroll down, summary is here. At the bottom, you'll find per camera wise. You can upload your company logo and you can also edit the project name. Okay. And another good part is you can save this project. So tomorrow, if you want to um, reload, tomorrow, if you want to again look at this file, add maybe one or two cameras, you can open it and redo the calculation, take a new report. All right. So this tool is called the pre-sales tool, used for storage, model understanding, accessory selection. What else can you do here? Um, at the moment, this is the main thing. Next is from the website, there is one more place where you can find details about the camera. What that is data center catalog. You can download the total lineup catalog. Okay, let's wait for it to load and you scroll down. You will find the camera product naming rule. The first letter tells you what is the series. The second letter tells you what is the type of camera. Is it IP camera or is it analog camera? The third tells you the shape of the camera. Is it a dome? Is it a PTZ? Is it a bullet? So on. Okay, next is resolution. And this is the lens. IR, R is for IR. Usually zero is the version. All right. Now, your point or what you should focus on is why some projects have a mix. There is a chance in your project you might have some Q series and X series. Why some cameras are having X series? Why majority of the cameras in your project are Q series? or maybe everything is Q series in your project. So you need to understand that. The difference between X and Q is analytics. Q series, they have around, let me quickly open that slide. The Q series is having around 6 analytics, right? Let's say I take a QND 608 datasheet. Okay, if you go down to the analytics section, the Q series has defocus, line crossing, virtual line, motion, zone entry, exit, tampering. Okay, again, virtual line. So roughly 6 analytics are there, right? One, two, three, four, five, six. It's actually intrusion. I think there's a typing. Okay, no worries. Directional and virtual line. So there are 6 analytics in your Q series camera, right? Okay, now if you take X series, to go to the analytics, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 analytics are there, right? So X series is having more analytics. Then X series, there is also some additional feature like 60 frames, more than 120 dB WDR. So those kind of some extra more than normal features you will find in X series. So here it is also 120 dB. That's okay. 30 frames should be 30 frames. Okay, not all projects require 60 frames. So there are some projects where you want 60 frames. There are some projects where you need more than 120 dB. So those kind of requirements you can go with X series. So if your project is having X series, then there is a reason for it. Probably um, maybe it's for some of the main entrances, or maybe it requires some high WDR, or maybe it requires more analytics, or one more reason, or it requires a special lens, 5 to 60 mm, right? Who gives a dome camera with 5 to 60 mm? Most likely every project you'll find 2.8 to 12, 3 to 12, 3 to 10, right? So if you need a long lens, you will probably find it in X series. Okay, in addition to that, you have different shapes in X series, pinhole cameras, stainless steel cameras, long range PTZ. So anything that is more than the standard requirement. What is standard? Dome bullet, 2.8 to 12, these are standard. What is more than standard? Dome bullet with long range lens, with maybe 50-meter IR, or probably with 500 meters IR on PTZ. So you can quickly find out why a particular project is having X. There is also one more way you can do that. If you can go to the toolbox itself, you can add both and quickly check what's the difference between these two. X series, Q series, 60 frames, 30 frames. Lens is okay. 50-meter IR, 20-meter IR. Q series you can also find 30, two SD card slots, and yeah, the other things will be in the datasheet. So the big picture you can find the X series is more of a performance series, right? Over the edge, something that can achieve more than your standard camera. You will probably find X series, right? So when you have 100 Q series and maybe 5 X series, just try to understand where these cameras are going to sit, so you can position them correctly or install them correctly. They may look the same, they may look like a dome, but not everything is the same. The first letter will dictate what is the camera series and what to expect. If I give you a Q series, you can expect 6 analytics. If I give you X series, you can expect more analytics. You can expect probably a special lens in that camera. So, or maybe high WDR, or or more zoom lens or more IR range. So something you can expect more. So you have to be sure where you're installing the X series, and so you avoid changing later on. All right. Having said that, um, okay. Now, if you want to know about any camera, just put the model here and either open the datasheet to find out the power requirement, to find out the temperature requirement, power consumption, and so on. Or you can open the toolbox. Toolbox will give you a little information, just the basic difference. Datasheet will give you a full-fledged, information, even to the point how many motion zone, uh, how many privacy zones, what are the configuration settings. So a little bit more details you'll find in the datasheet. Then the third important document for you is your manual. The manual tells you what equipment is included in the camera. When you buy a camera, what is included? If you buy a bullet camera, the camera itself is included. Then all these catalogs, screws, cable bush. So this is for water protection. So these accessories are very, very important. You have to make sure you don't simply throw it. You have to keep it safe. All right. Whenever you have an outdoor camera, okay, indoor camera, not a big deal. Whenever you have an outdoor camera, you will find this kind of cable plug. Okay, you can say it's a rubber cover. The rubber cover is not to remove and throw, it is to make sure the cable is tightly passed through. All right, you just make the right amount of hole. Don't make it bigger, otherwise the water will go through. So the right amount of hole you can punch through and take your Cat 6 through this. All right. We will also supply an accessory called cap installer. So it will allow you to easily pull the cable through it. Okay, next. All right, so right now we've jumped to a different topic. It's about installation. There are very few points that you have to keep in mind, especially outdoor cameras. Okay? Um, then, if you have a bullet camera with a pigtail, you see the camera is coming with a cable out with the female RJ45 connector. So for these cameras, we supply something called as RJ45 waterproof accessory. Okay, so you have to also make sure you install it. You'll find it here. Yeah, the Cat 6 cable has to be passed through the accessory, and then it should, this is from the camera side, this is from the network cable. So there is a pin, right? 4 pins. The pin can be exposed to water and can rust. So you have to use this waterproof protection accessory, and that's it. So it will be tightly sealed against water. Okay. Next, how to open a camera. There is one camera which you may not be familiar with, the indoor cameras. Whenever you have a camera, there are no screws on it. So for example, if you look at this camera, you know how to open. Just unscrew, it will open. But what about this? This camera does not have any screw. There are no screws in this camera. So how to open? So whenever you see a camera which has a lock symbol, that means you have to open it like a bottle. As if you open a water bottle, you have to open it, twist it open. So you will see here in a picture, you see this? You twist it open and the cap will come off. Lift it up and the cap will come out. What is the point of opening? Only then you can access um, the RJ45 connector. You can plug the network cable. You can plug certain alarm inputs, and you can reset the camera. So all that access, you have to open the camera and then get access. Even for a bullet camera, by the way. So there is one bullet camera here, which is having a lock symbol. So this camera, you have to twist it open. Okay, you have to twist it open. And so right now locked, you have to unlock. What is the purpose? If you twist it open, you have option to put SD card. You have option to reset the camera. Why do you need to reset? If you forget the password, if you forgot the password, there's no master password. You have to physically open the camera and reset. You have to hold the reset button for at least 12 seconds, right? You have to hold the reset button with a pin for at least 12 seconds, and the camera should be powered with a PoE. Okay, so the camera should be powered on when you're pressing the reset button. After you reset, it will go back to factory default. All right, so these are the basic steps about protecting your camera. Now, there is one more point is especially for bullet cameras, we have the multiple screws you can find here. This is one, so this is one screw. There is one screw here, then there is one more here. Okay, so what is the objective of this screw? So if you if you lose, I mean, if you make it loose, then your camera can go up or down. You can tilt it. If you make the second part loose, the front part you can rotate 360. If you make the third, the screw loose, you can rotate from here onwards, you can rotate 360. So you can rotate the camera, adjust the view, adjust the angle, adjust the tilt, adjust the pan using these three screws. All right, so you can adjust them accordingly. For a dome camera, it's straightforward. The dome itself, the front lens, you can twist to rotate. You can tilt the module up and down. You can rotate the entire module pan. So entire module means you hold here and you hold here and then you rotate. Okay, you hold it with your hand and you can rotate the view. I mean, you know all this. So basically, this is all done during your installation time. Probably you might not know this part. This is where you rotate the lens. Okay, so other than this, we don't have anything different compared to any other brand. Even the cable bush waterproof, these are all common accessories for our IP66 protection. The only thing that you probably have to be watchful is, or take caution is, how to open the camera. Now, some cameras you might think, okay, I cannot open it. Just look for it. All right, see, if this camera is having a screw straightforward, you can open it directly. But some of them you have to twist and open. So depending on the lock symbol. Okay, so all right. Okay, and in order to reset, you have to hold for 12 seconds. All right. Now let's just summarize what we learned so far. If you get a model number, if someone quotes a model number to you and they tell you saying, okay, I have in my project QND 6082R. Okay, fine. Select it. Click just one camera, no issue, compare. What is the series? Q series. What is the resolution? 2 megapixel. What is the WDR rating? Uh, all our cameras are 120 dB. Only some X series they have 150. So you can also open the datasheet and find out. Is it outdoor? At the moment, this camera is not IP66. So this is indoor camera. What is the lens? 3.2 to 10 mm. Right. So this is how you understand about your camera. This is a standard camera. Anything up to 10 mm, 12 mm are standard lens. Okay. Next, we also talked about Wisenet toolbox. What is Wisenet toolbox? Wisenet toolbox is a pre-sales tool for storage calculation, camera selection, camera comparison, and so on. Then we talked about how to install the camera. We took notice on the reset button. We took notice on how to twist and open the camera. We took notice about the cable gasket for waterproof protection and the accessories that are coming along with the camera. All right, done. Now next is um, what is the tool for configuring after sales, post sales? What tool should I use? So in order to configure the camera, we have a separate tool, and that tool is called Wisenet Device Manager. And Wisenet Device Manager you can find under Technical Support Online Tool. Technical Support Online Tool. Scroll down, you will find Wisenet Device Manager. You can download this. This tool you can use to search, discover the camera, change the camera settings, change the IP addresses, passwords, update the camera, uh, set up motion detection. So profile settings. So whatever project settings that you need to do, you can do it through the Wisenet Device Manager. Okay. Now, all right. So right now I am logged into a desktop and I have downloaded and installed Wisenet Device Manager. Okay. So I'm going to open that. Okay. And click on search. All the devices in your network will be discovered. You can filter just to the camera. Now, second. All right. So when you discover the camera, there are three ways to know if everything is okay. First thing, your PC should be in the same IP range of the cameras, right? Second thing is when you discover it should have at least LO symbol. Red means the camera is either disconnected, cable is having an issue, or it's outside your network, you cannot communicate. All right, that could be a reason. Yellow means camera communication is possible, but you don't have the username and password to log in. So if yellow, it is fine, it is good. Now you can log in to the cameras which are yellow by clicking credential and enter the password. Now I am using a specific password for all the cameras, but I'm going to also explain to you about one point. All right, so all these cameras, they have a password and I have logged in. Now the question for you is, when there is a new camera, does it have a password? Or when there is a new camera, does it have any IP address? No. When you have a camera with you for the first time, supplied to you from the factory, supplied to you, for the first time, the default IP address of the camera will be 192.168.1.100. Okay, you can see that here 192.168.1.100. This will be the default IP of your camera. for the first time. Second thing, it will not have any password. You have to create a password for this camera. So when you log in, it will ask you create a new password. It does not exist, right? So you have to create. So for our training, um, I'm going to create a password, but I'm going to make it same for across all the cameras. So I remember, so if you want to log in and practice, you can also know the password. So I'm keeping a lab password for all my lab cameras. I'm using this capital ADMIN@12. Why am I using this kind of combination? Why can't I just make admin? Why can't I just make 1234? These two passwords are not allowed. Your Wisenet cameras, you must have at least 8 character. You must use a special character. You must use a uppercase, lowercase, and symbol. So that's why I'm using this capital letters, small letters, symbol, number. You should have a combination of all these. For minimum 8 characters, only those kind of password will be accepted. So if I type here 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, then 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and click apply, the password does not meet the criteria, right? So if I put 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 at, let's say, it will say no, you cannot have a combination, and neither can you have, consecutive numbers like 1 2 3 4 A B C D. So those kind of letters are not permitted. So password has to be complicated. So you must make sure you remember, take a note of what password you're setting. Now you don't have to set up from the web page. You can directly do it from the device manager. So here currently it says I need to set up a password. So credential, what is my initial password? I'm going to create it. Okay, done. Initial password has been created, success. Now it should turn to green color. Okay, done. So it's now become green color. What is that? 6085, this one, 192.168.1.100. All right, so what is the procedure? Whenever you have, all right, next, we will see the next step and then go to this. All right, next is how to change the IP address. So here I have cameras 32, 33, 34. I'm going to select them. First, I have to log in, right? I have to enter the password, create a password and log in. After that, create, click IP assign, select the IP assign and say I will start from IP address. And let me check what's available. 50 and then 60 is available. Okay. So let's say I'm going to start from IP address 1.60. Right? Simulate. So 32 will now become 60, 33 will become 61, 34 will become 62. You got it? So you can quickly change the IP address of all your cameras in an instant. So I click apply, all of them will get a new IP address now. It changed. So if you see here, 60, 61, 62, before it was 32, 33, 34. I can change again. I will go back to what was the previous IP, 32. Let's say I want the third camera should take 32. Currently, the third camera is taking 34. So in order to do that, just click up, up. So I moved the third camera up, click simulate. Now the third camera will take 32 IP address. Apply, done. So IP address is set. So this is how easy for using the device manager tool to configure your project. Okay, what is next? Next is firmware update. You must make sure you update the camera before you proceed with the project configuration. Whenever you have a camera with you for the first time, make sure you update the firmware. It is a mandatory step. Not only camera, if you have NVR, you must update the NVR also. How to check if your NVR or camera is up to date or not? You can check it from the device manager by clicking firmware status check. So at this time, you should have internet. it will connect to our server and it will check whether the camera firmwares are latest. If you see here, this camera is running old firmware. Now, how to update this? I have to download the camera firmware file, and that's where you have to go back to the website, hanva-security.com. Type the model number XNP6320HS. Scroll down, firmware, click, just click on the file to download. See, the firmware file can be slightly different. It may not have the exact name. Sometimes you probably have, let's say, X and O 6080. All right. Let's say you have this camera. When you go to firmware, the file can be XNB 6000. It's okay, not a big issue. It all belongs to the same camera group. You can upload this file. If it is not compatible, it will deny it. This one is downloaded from this camera page. For sure, this belongs to this camera also. All right. So this is a common firmware for a group of cameras. All right. How to download? Just click on it. It will download. What else you can get from the website? You can get the certificates such as IP66, 67, UL certification. You need a 3D drawing, beam drawing, AutoCAD Revit, or you can get 2D drawings, um, firmware, manual, data sheet. So all these data you can get directly from the camera page in our website. All right, so this can take some time to download. So when you're practicing in the remote lab, you don't have to update any camera. It's okay because it will take time. So you just need to know how to download it. Now, once you download, how to upload the firmware file, click on firmware again and upgrade. Okay, now open, file open, then you need to upload that firmware file. Right, so how to upload the firmware file? So let's quickly check. All right, so when you download any firmware, so let's say if I'm downloading a firmware, it will come as a zip file. My firmware will come as a zip file. I need to unzip it. Once I unzip, you will get the version number here. I mean, you will get the actual image file, IMG or TGZ. So you have to upload that particular file to the camera for your firmware upgrade. All right. You cannot upload a zip file. You have to unzip and then upload the image file. Okay. If you have too many cameras, it's fine. Only one time you have to upload. So for example, here, let's say I have two cameras of the same model. I select both, click on firmware, upgrade. Uh, okay, done. Let me just double check. Okay. Let's take this to firmware, upgrade. So whenever you have cameras of the same model, you don't have to update separately. You select both, it will ask you for just one file name. All right, just file open. These two files are automatically belonging to this cameras group, right? These two MAC IDs. These two cameras belong to this camera group. So you just upload the file once, image file, and after that you upload or upgrade. And what we recommend that you upgrade maximum 5 camera at a time, right? If you are working in a real project where it is already commissioned, it's a live project or a production environment, click sequence so you can update one by one, because every time the camera updates, it will restart. There will be a 30-second disconnection. So if you want to stop disconnection for group of cameras, what you can do is you can click on sequence, then camera will restart one by one. I mean, it will update one by one and then restart. you want to do as a group, you can, we recommend to do 5. That is the best practice. Maximum is 60. All right. So I hope you got this. You can also put a time. Maybe you're leaving the office. You can put a time and go. It will update for you before you come the next day. Okay. All right. So what are the 3 steps so far we covered? So I will ask one of you, Ahmed Al Sahli. Can you hear me?
Uh,
You can unmute if you want to speak. The 4th step is how to update the time for a camera. When you have a camera with you, there is a chance the camera will come with a Korean time. If the camera coming from US, it will come from US time. So you have to go and change the time of the camera because everything depends on the time, right? If your alarms, your events, all of them depend on accurate timing. So how to get that sorted? So in order to sort that out, you go click on date and time. You can select all the cameras at once, all the logged in cameras, date and time. First step, go from the top. All right, no complication, no special steps, nothing different. Go from the top, change the time zone. Just like when you download Windows, what is the time zone? Is it Saudi time zone? Is it Nairobi? Is it Abu Dhabi? Or is it Kuwait? You select the time zone. Okay, done. Second step, um, do you have an NTP server? You have any NVR? Do you have any SSM VMS? Because NVR can give a time to the camera. So camera and NVR will be on the same timing. All right. NVR can provide time to the cameras. So NVR time will match with the camera time. That is, NVR will act like NTP server. Camera will be the NTP client, Network Time Protocol, NTP. Right? You can research this separately. Now, here, if you have an NVR with you, which can provide time, so your camera and NVR will be on the same timing. In order to do that, you can enter the IP address of the NVR, right? And the other ones, you can leave it as it is. No need to change. Click start. All the cameras will now sync to the NVR time. If you don't have an NVR, you have VMS, put the VMS IP address. Done. If you have a third-party master clock system, request from them. Uh, if you have a master clock, request from the master clock and one IP address to for NTP client. What you do, sync, sync your NVR to the master clock system. Okay, it will use the one IP. Okay, now sync all the cameras to the NVR. All right, this is better because cameras will take time from NVR, and NVR will take time from master clock. Okay, otherwise all 60 camera will talk to master clock. That's like too much load for master clock system or third party system. If it is NVR, only one NVR or two NVRs will talk. Even if you have multiple NVRs, we can sync NVR1 to master clock and other NVR2 to 20 or 40, whatever, can sync to take time from. Okay, so you try to reduce the load on master clock because they might charge you per client, they will charge you license. So try to minimize. You say I need only one license for the NVR and you sync the NVR, then cameras will sync to the NVR So all will have correct time. What is the purpose of master clock? Master clock will take will take time from a GPS system, from a satellite. It does not depend on internet or anything. Directly it will take from the satellite what is accurate timing, and it will sync all the system to that accurate time. Okay. Most sites may not have it, may have it. It depends. Windows Server, also you can install NTP server application, free applications you can install. So Windows will give timing to the cameras. There are many ways. As long as you have an NTP server, NVR or VMS or master clock, put the IP address here, cameras will take the time. All right. Time, very, 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 very important. You must make sure cameras are running correct time, because it can mess up many things. Uh, Many protocols are dependent on timing. Mainly to speak about is on-wave protocol is also dependent very much on the time. If the time is incorrect, the VMS will say cameras offline because it is expecting at 4 o'clock, but the end camera is at 2 o'clock. So there's no video at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock. So the VMS will think, okay, the camera is offline. So timing is important. Alarms, motion happened at 5 o'clock. If any crime happened at 5 o'clock, the VMS, NVR will say it's 2 o'clock. So how you will match the time, how you will prove the evidence. So timing is very important. All right, as much as CCTV is important, time on the CCTV is also important. Okay, once you fix the time, now cameras are good. It's all running correct time. The next step, fourth step was time. All right, and password. By the way, the camera does not have no default password, but it has a default username. Default username is there, it's admin. Okay. So by default, there is a username, but that guy doesn't have a password. That's what you're creating, right? In case it asking you for the admin, I mean username, the default ID is admin. Okay. Next is we talked about IP address, firmware update, date, time. Now video profile, focus. These two are the next important points. Video profile. Um, why do you need to talk about video profile? Okay. If you open this data sheet, this camera profile, this guy has up to 10 profiles. It support H.264, it support H.265. Then this camera is having a resolution of, it can support all these resolutions. It can support 30 frame. So you have to decide as per the regulation, what resolution you want, what frame rate you want, what codec you will use. If you use H.265, very good, you will get save a lot of storage. So you have to set the correct resolution for recording, right? Why? By default, cameras are having, okay, let's have a look at it. So we had a new camera here, 1.100, right? So let me open that web page. When you have a new camera, you can go to the settings. You'll find there are 4 profiles automatically created. So roughly speaking, there's no need to change, no need to create. It's already there. H.264, H.265, full resolution 30 frames, full resolution 30 frames, already there. But what is the need for adjusting this? The need is, um, most of the projects, they are not recording at 30 frames. They're recording at 15 frames. Some projects, some countries, 5 frames. Some countries, they're recording at 1 megapixel by regulation. Some countries, even if you buy 5 mega, they're recording in 3 mega as per regulation. So Kuwait is 3 mega, Qatar is 1 mega, so Saudi, some places 5 mega, Dubai is 2 megapixel. In Abu Dhabi, some regions you can use 1 megapixel. So according to regulation, you have to record a specific resolution, specific frame rate. Maybe you bought a 4K camera, but you don't want to record at 4K just because the regulation is saying only 2 MP is enough. So what your sales team will do, they will only calculate for 2 megapixel recording to save storage, to make sure their pricing is better and so on. So in that case, you have to go and adjust it because the camera does not know what your project wants. It will be at the maximum. If this is 2 mega, it will be at the full resolution by default. You have to go and adjust it, make it, I'm going to use H265 for recording. So I will go and adjust it to 15 frames. But the thing is, you don't have to do camera by camera. You can do it through the device manager. Even in device manager, it will be done as a model wise. All right, so let's say if you have two cameras of the same model, XNO8080, we have two cameras of the same model. Okay, click on the plus button here. All right, just watch this. There is a plus button. If you open device manager, by default, there is no this side menu. Okay, you will only find these buttons on the top. There's a lot of menu just by clicking a plus. Okay, all right, now you can find video profile. What is video profile? This is what we talk. This is the one H264, H265. These are all video profile. So you can check H265. What is the current setting? How to get the current setting? Double click. Double click with your mouse. It will tell you currently this camera is 5 megapixel, 25 frames. You may need to record only for 12 frames. So what you have to do is click on frame rate, which you parameter you need to adjust. Click on that, change the frame rate to 12 and apply. Now both the cameras settings have been changed. Now click on this, 12 frames. Click on this, 12 frames. All right. Now let's say I want to make both the camera 1 megapixel resolution. I can change it here, apply. Okay. Click on this. Both the camera is now 1 megapixel. Okay. You can go to the web page and check. Double click. Login. Settings. You can find by clicking H265. It's already applied. So I don't have to open every time, log in every time, and then change the setting. I can do it from the device manager. Right? Done. Now there is one additional point. This is where many people get confused, is record profile. For as a request, do not click on this record profile unless and until you have SD card recording. Okay, this is for edge recording or SD card recording. Nothing to do with NVR or VMS or anything of that kind. This record profile is edge recording. If you insert an SD card, you are going to tell the SD card record H265. All right. So maybe I don't want to record 1 mega in SD card. I can create one more. I can add a profile and say this is SD card profile and this. Okay, let's start, make it simple first. Let's say I want to use H265 for SD card. Okay, select it, click on record profile. Okay, then apply. When you apply this, this profile will now go to the SD card. If you insert an SD card, the SD card will record that profile. Now, in order to do that, you have to go to event storage, and activate or turn on your SD card, then activate overwrite, and you scroll down, you'll find what profile to record, H265 or automatically selected. Do you want continuous recording? Yes. Or you want only motion recording? It's up to you. If you want only motion recording, you select and click apply. All right, SD card setting is something you have to do separately. First thing is you have to select which profile will be for the SD card. Second thing, go to event, storage, and turn on the SD card. Open the SD card, format it, enable overwrite. If you want security settings, you can enable that. Enable continuous recording from here, right? So this is for SD card. Okay, what is the last step for today? Focus. How to focus the camera, how to zoom in, zoom out. Okay. After the break, we will talk about Ystream. We will talk about motion detection, how to access the lab for your practice. We will talk about this after our break. Before break, let's finish the focus point. How to focus the camera. In order to focus, you have to go to PD, sorry, video setup, focus setup. Okay. Focus depends on the scene. Are you looking at the scene? Do you want to zoom in a bit? Okay, do you want to zoom in slower? Not, a, not take very big steps, slowly, small steps, even small steps. Okay, now once you have zoomed into your location, click on simple focus. All right, now the image is in full focus. Done. So X series will take a few seconds. Q series can take slightly more time, and that's it. Your focus is done. This is called simple focus. If you want to go back to the initial focus, which means if it is 2.8 to 10, you want to go to 2.8, click on initialize focus. It will zoom all the way out, and then it will try to focus. So this is fully zoomed out position. If you want to zoom in a bit, you can zoom in faster. Okay, then click on simple focus. All right, how to do this from the device manager? Right click, live viewer, bring it to the center, zoom, zoom out, simple focus. Okay. If you just want to focus all the cameras, select everything. Use your keyboard, okay? So I can use my keyboard to click delete, delete. If I click clear, nothing happens here, right? If you want to remove from the list, you have to click on delete. So search again, you can search again. All right, so this is how you feel free to use your keyboard. Okay, now let's say I want to focus all the camera. Focus setup. You will focus by camera group. Let's say 6080. I have one camera, simple focus. I have this one, two models, simple focus. So I can focus. Most of your projects will have two or three types. So you'll have 50 camera in each, or it depends on the project. So if you have some 100 camera, 50 cameras, so you'll have all the cameras listed here by model. Click on simple focus. Done. Okay. Now your camera will focus. How to check whether the focus is done? Move the slide button, click update all. You can get a preview whether all the image looks focused. Okay, all of them look fine. Go back, and that's it. So these are the 7 main steps of configuring your camera. The first one was, by default, there is no password. So you have to first create a password. Okay. Then next is change the IP. By default, the IP is 192.168.1.100. Click on IP assign to change the password. Third one, update the camera firmware. You have to log in first to update the firmware. Click on firmware upgrade, and attach the file. Unzip and attach the file. You can update your camera firmware from here. Next is date and time. You can adjust the time zone first. Then if you don't have an NVR, you don't have at the moment you don't have NVR, what you can do is you can say sync with my PC, your laptop or your PC at that moment, it will copy the time, but always change the time zone. Always change the time zone. Okay. Later on, you can sync with your NVR once it is online. Next is video profile setting. Video profile is where you can check the camera profile, select the camera. In this model, I have only one, and then drop down menu. I am going to change the recording setting. Right now, I'm just preparing the camera, right? NVR does not know whether you're recording H.264, H.265. All that we will do later in the NVR. But right now, we are only preparing the camera. What is the current setting of H.265 in this camera? Double click, 2 megapixel, 30 frames. Okay, I can change it to, let's say I want to make it 6 frames and apply, it will get applied. All right, so this is how you adjust your. So here, what is the setting? Double click, 2 megapixel, 15 frames. So far, okay. What if I want to create a profile for SD card or my project? Click add profile. Okay, you can say I need resolution and frame rate, 5 frames or 10 frames. My project recording profile. Just give a name, codec also make it H.265 and okay, to do again, okay, apply. Now you have created a new profile with the name record REC H.265 profile. You got it? 6081FZ. So if I go to this web page, log in to the camera, I can see I created a profile here, H.265, 2 mega 10 frames. So you can also create new profiles. Now, then you go to the NVR and say, after adding the camera in the NVR, you will select, for example, let's say right now I'm logging to the NVR. Once you add any camera to the NVR, this is NVR web page. In the NVR setting, you have to select which profile to record in the NVR. You just select H.265, automatically whatever the camera setting is there, it will pull it, it will take it. Right. So right now in camera configuration, we are preparing the camera to be added to NVR or VMS or anything. Okay. So video profile. After that, we talked about focus. You can do the focus by right click, live viewer. You can zoom, and click simple focus. You can focus the camera. Okay. So yeah, that's the main 7 steps. All right, we will take a break for 10 minutes and then we'll catch up again. All right, let's resume. We should finish in about another 15 to 20 minutes. We'll just talk about certain additional features that customers use with Wisenet and certain cameras where you may not just view the video, you may need to activate WDR, you may need to activate motion detection, certain additional things that you would usually use for some projects. So we are going to see that. All right. Okay. All right. So let me take one camera and explain. Okay. Okay. Yeah, this one. Log in. Look, the video is upside down. So someone installed the camera upside down. So how to fix this? You have an option here called flip or rotate. You can go to the settings and video, right? Just remember basic video profile, date, time, IP address, all that you change here. Okay, in case your time is not set properly, you can also manually change here. Can go to video. Under video, keep in mind two buttons, video and smart, sorry, a video and camera setup. Do not get confused between them. Video setup is your big settings, the overall settings. Image upside down. I need to make it uh, in the correct orientation. Flip, flip upside down, and then apply mirror. So now the image should be fixed. All right. So now the image is in the correct orientation. Done. So this kind of setting, or if you have an ATM area, you want to mask some location. So you can draw a box and mask that. Private. So let's say I want to mask this area, say private. I can do masking using this option. Flip mirror, you can use this. If you want to rotate the camera in hallway view, for example, if the camera is in the corridors and if you want to use hallway view, basically this horizontal width will go to the vertical side. So right now you see the how wide it is. You will see now it becomes smaller, and the vertical side will be more tall. It's the swapping of aspect ratio. Close again. Let's open it. We'll restart. We'll wait for a second and all right. If you're going to use hallway view, you have to also manually rotate the camera lens by 90-degree and then also apply hallway view in the camera web page. Some models you have to do that. All right, so you have to wait for roughly 30 seconds because the camera will restart. Okay, all right, the camera is now online. If you see the before it was horizontally wide, it was horizontally wide and vertically like this. Now it became vertically taller and horizontal became smaller. Okay, this was 16:9. Now it became 9 is to 16. This is 9 is to 16. Okay, this is hallway view. So physically also you have to rotate the camera. That should also be done. All right, so that is hallway part. Then what else is important? Under this video, these are the main settings such as rotating the image, flipping, hallway view and all that. Next is WDR, right? Let me move this back and then I'll open a different camera for WDR. Admin password. How to activate WDR? Click on settings and focus this first. Simple focus. All right. Video setup and camera setup. Video setup and camera setup. Video setup was the privacy part and the hallway view and flipping and stuff. Camera setup is where you do, sensor level settings. Okay. Backlight. Backlight is where you activate WDR. So you can turn on WDR. The camera will adjust accordingly. You can enable auto. So when WDR is not required, it will switch off. At night time, you can switch it off. In black and white mode, you can switch it off. So these are the settings that are available. Where is WDR? On the menu, you will not find WDR as a name. You will find it under backlight. Under backlight, you will find the option WDR, turn it on. Low, medium, high, you can choose accordingly. If your contrast, this brightness is too high, indoor is very low, then you can make it high WDR, right? The difference is too high. If the light difference is not much, you can use low, right? If it is somewhere in the middle, you can use middle, right? You can, if you're not sure, just you can make it high also and put auto setting. Automatically, it will adjust by itself. Okay, next. On-screen display. On the camera, right now, it's pure video. I want to display some additional data. I want to give a camera date and time. I want to display camera name. So I can click on screen display, add a camera title, Samuel, and display the date and time and apply. If you want to do this, you can do this also from the camera side. You can display date and time and camera title. Some customers, some regulations, they need this. They need watermarking of the video with the camera location, and it should also have camera date and time. So you can activate that from OSD. If you don't want, disable, disable, apply, and it's gone. Okay, that's it. Next is motion detection. How to access motion detection? You go to analytics, then you have motion detection. Right. For this, let me take a different camera. Settings, setup, analytics, motion detection. All right. So by default, motion detection is disabled. It is switched off. Okay? By default, it is not turned on. You have to turn it on. So I'm going to start the motion detection. I'm going to activate it, enable motion detection. And once you enable, a box will appear, a zone. You can cover the entire area. Usually, the first box will cover the entire area by itself. Uh, for example, here, analytics, motion detection. The other camera I have changed it before. That's why it's not. So if I put apply, it will select. All right. If you put in a new camera, by default, it will select the entire area. And then you can adjust, if you want to remove some zone, some area, you can adjust it accordingly. And the reason for zones is you can have multiple zones. You can have here one more zone, zone 2, you can have one more zone here, zone 3, and each zone you can configure the sensitivity level, you can configure the minimum duration. If you put 2 second, only after 2 second, if the person is moving for at least 2 second, only then it will trigger an alarm. What is level of detection? Whenever there is some movement in the screen or in the particular area, it will tell you what is the current level of movement. Maybe there is a advertisement, there is some fan, there is some leaves moving. You can make the detection bar higher. You can set it above. So small movements will be rejected. So this all will be below that limit. So it will be rejected. So there is a movement in the screen. It will not trigger an alarm. You can adjust that. Next, you might not find level of detection on all these older Q series. You may not find. You will only find probably in high, low. But in the new Q series, you will find an X series. You will find this level of detection. Okay. Next is exclude. You can exclude some area. If there is a constant movement in this monitor, I can exclude this area. So that will be high priority. Even if you cover that zone, it doesn't matter. So for example, even if I cover the zone, okay, this lag due to the internet connection, remote connection. So even if I exclude this area and I include also that same area, exclude will be high priority. So it will exclude all the alarms from that area. Only then it will check within the box, right? Next, common setting. Common setting, you can see here, blue box, minimum size. If if a person is coming through the door, it will of course create an alarm. But what if there is a cat and a dog, or some leaves or some bird is moving in the scene? You don't want an alarm, right? So in that case, what you do is you set the minimum standard. You set minimum size of the object. You can see the number changing. The minimum width of the object should be this much. Minimum height should be this much. So if a cat is coming, it will be smaller than the blue box. All right. The cat, I mean, this blue box doesn't mean this area. This is just a size. It can be anywhere, it doesn't matter. So it's only the size. What is the size? Just to give you a representation. If a person is standing here, he will be taller than this and wider than this. Okay. So for you, if a person is coming through this, he will be taller than the blue box, 160. He will be wider than the blue box, or 102. So it will create an alarm. Any object smaller will be rejected, will not create an alarm. All right, let's say here I created multiple zones and I want to remove something. Right click and delete. Okay, after whatever settings you do, you have to click apply. Same way, tamper detection. Tamper detection will, if someone is covering the camera, blocking the camera view, it will create an alarm. So if someone is blocking the view of the camera, it will say tamper detected. And how long are they blocking? For 10 seconds or 2 seconds or 3 seconds, you can adjust. Don't make it zero, because If someone is just walking across the camera, blocking the view, maybe it will detect. So, and if the camera is too close or, zoomed in, and you're looking at probably the entire door. So, for example, you're looking like this. So, if a person is walking in, he's probably covering 30-40% of the view, right? So, maybe the camera will think you're blocking the view. You can adjust with all this setting. However, always keep duration as 3 or 5 seconds. So, if somebody really covered the camera for 3 seconds, after that it will raise an alarm. Okay. Then, right. So, all right. Next, after you create all the motion alarm, after you create the event alarm, how to check whether you're receiving it? You can go to log and go to event log and check here. All right, I received motion at this particular X time. So you know your configuration is working correctly. If you did not get any event, maybe you ask someone to move in the scene and you're not getting an event, you can check here. If you're not getting, it will not come here. Even here, the you will get a red color border. Example, you will get a red color border. Just watch here. Okay, okay, I'm going to cover the entire scene. Bye. Okay. Okay. So if the motion goes above the bar, you will get a red color border. So border. So some event is received. Every 10 seconds it updates. But otherwise, if you want accurate information, um, you can just go to the log and you can check under event log, motion was detected. Okay, this is your way of finding out. You can also check who's trying to access a camera. Maybe the camera is getting blocked. No, you're not able to log into the camera, and or someone is trying to keep on accessing the camera from a wrong different IP address. You can find all that details here. Access log, right? Product information is where you will find correct camera information. Okay. Let's say if we ask you what is the current firmware, go to upgrade, click on info, you'll find the full information. This is the current firmware of your camera. 2019, October 28th, there was a release, 375. This is the model. Rest of the information is here. All right, so you can get your product firmware information from here, as well as from device manager. Okay, even here you can find product from a 1.40 and so on. All right, now I'm going to take a report for 4 cameras. Report, close all live view. Okay, live view, close, report, include image. Right, so this is the report. You can get a snapshot also. Now this is good. You can get a snapshot. You can get the full details. What is the IP address? What is the firmware version? What is the snapshot of the image? What is the profile setting? You can get all the data. You can then export it as Excel. Right. So this is a very good tool. Next, you can also do something called as a restore and backup. Maybe sometimes you have probably made some special setting for a camera. So you went to the camera, you change the settings, you change the profile, and you activated WDR and so on. And then tomorrow, if you analytics and you want to copy the setting to another camera, what you can do is go to device manager, you can take the camera setting, configuration, backup. So you can take a copy of this, and when you have a new camera, you can restore. Only except the IP address, everything else will be restored. Right? Or IP address will not be restored. IP address will be whatever you said, but every other setting you can restore. Right? And yes, after that, you can check here about image preset. If you're looking for number plates, you can try to use this. So let's say you don't know whether I need WDR or whether the setting is not correct or not. You're not sure. Just like a mobile phone, we have vivid mode. If your camera is indoor, you can use vivid. If you're having bright light, you can use indoor backlight. If you're looking for number plates, you can just select number plate. Automatically, the settings will be activated, whether WDR on, off, all that will be activated. All right, so that's all for the training on the camera configuration, right? So let me just revise what we did in the second part. If you want to flip the camera upside down, privacy zone, hallway view, you go to video setup. If you want to do sensor level setting, activate WDR, uh, type a text in the image, watermarking, on-screen display, backlight. So that you can do it through the camera setup. Exposure settings, there are predefined presets such as number plates, vivid video, indoor backlight, outdoor backlight. Try to use the preset. Maybe some challenging area, you need this preset. If that is still not working, you can get in touch with the Hanwha team or the distributor. What is the recommended setting? This is all part of you know, a next level course. What is shutter speed and all these fundamentals, we can cover it later on. All right, next is we talked about analytics, motion detection. You can enable the motion detection from the web page. You can create multiple zones. Each zone, you can set minimum duration. As soon as motion occurred, if you want alarm, 0 seconds. If you want to wait for some time, make sure it is really motion for 2 seconds. You can also do that. So maybe if somebody is walking within for 1 second, then it will raise an alarm. You can exclude some area, so it will not create alarms. Maybe wherever there's too much crowded area where people will keep on be standing there, maybe advertisement screen or whatever, you can mask that area. You can set the minimum size. All of this is to reduce false alarm, unnecessary alarms. Right? If you want to delete some zone, you can right click and delete the zone. Can be done. Same way tampering. Tamper detection is someone blocking the view. Always try to keep more than 1 second, 3 seconds or 5 seconds. After that, the camera will raise an alarm if someone is blocking that view. Right. Then we talked about system. You can, if you have only one camera you want to update, you can update directly. You can upload the firmware file directly. You don't have to download device manager and all that. You just have a demo for one camera. You can directly upload the file, update the camera. Okay. And you can check the log whether you're receiving the alarm. Right. Sometimes this is one of the ways to prove camera is working okay. Right. Camera is receiving the alarm. All right. And okay, now each of you will get access to the remote lab. The remote lab login details will be emailed to you. You will get an email from WebEx. The email will look like this. You are invited to hands-on lab. Samuel Kumar hands-on lab session. It will have the link to join the session. This is not a live session, it's a lab. You can log in anytime. Each of you will have a time frame. Just click on it. It will ask you to log in. All right. Then you can click on the button, attend the lab, and then you can attend the lab. The next thing, if in case it is asking you for a lab key, it is mentioned here. You can use the lab key. Each of you will have unique ID and unique lab key, right? Once you open the lab key, then once you log in, your screen will look like this. All right. Each of you will get access to a PC, right? And each PC will have a number, PC number. So you have to keep note of your PC number because you are going to practice using a online workbook. I will be emailing you an online workbook where you will enter your name and your date, your email address, and you will fill all these details. You're going to use Wisenet device toolbox and enter this model number and find out what series it is and all that. You're going to answer these questions. So this is like a revision of what we just talked about. What is a default IP address? What is a default username? Is there a default username? Is there a default password? What tool was used for storage calculation? What tool you're using for configuration, device manager? Okay, what is your PC number? You have to enter your PC number here. So basically, each of you will get access to two cameras, right? And depending on your PC number, you can open the device manager. Device manager application will be on the desktop and focus on just on the left side, click on all devices. After you, okay, and then focus on these two IP address. If you have any one camera, it's enough. If you have two camera, good. All right, so you can start working on these two cameras. So if I have 32 and 33, I will search for all the cameras. Then I will try to sort by IP address. Then I will only focus on 32 and 33. The remaining, control shift down, delete. The remaining I am not bothered for my practice. I can just delete it using my keyboard. Now these two cameras I'm going to practice. I'm going to change the settings and practice. So these two cameras, you can start practicing. Enter the model number. What are the 5 steps that we talked about? IP address, password, uh, firmware update, and all that. What if you forget the password? How to reset? How to get access to the web page? How to zoom? How to use flip? How to use the web UI? How to put on-screen display? How to update the camera firmware? You don't have to update any firmware. Okay, you just have to say whether it is old or new. That's it. How to get the firmware file? You have to go to the website and go to that particular camera and copy the link. What is the firmware file? So right click, copy link address, and you can paste here that particular model. How to turn on the WDR? Have you turned it on? Okay, and where should the camera names be edited? Okay, this one we will cover. And how to turn on motion detection and all that. All right, now uh, camera names. The last part is the camera name. Usually, this answer is if you're using NVR, we are going to give name in the NVR for camera, right? If you're going to use a VMS, we are going to give the names in the VMS, right? So most of the time, so let's say here, okay, I have a camera XN06120. When I go to the NVR, I can click on the settings, setup, device, channel setup. So I will edit the camera names here, name camera, right? So this will be done here. You don't give it on the camera itself. Okay. If you have a VMS, then you will edit the camera name on the VMS. So right now I am on a VMS, and if I want to edit the name, double click. Okay, let me fix this display. Okay, done. So double click, name of UNF, fisheye camera, entrance, ground floor, all the names you will give it on the VMS. So basically, camera naming, you do it whichever is the final point of monitoring. VMS, do it in the VMS. NVR, do it in the NVR. If you have only camera, in that case, on the camera itself, you can do edit the name is right click, edit device name, cam1. So you can give a name to the camera here. However, most of the projects, if you have a CCTV camera, you'll have NVR or VMS. So the best practice is to use whichever is the final point of view. That's where you will edit the camera name, right? So if it is NVR, you will edit in the, after adding the camera, you will edit in the NVR channel 1 is ground floor, first camera, main entrance, east entrance, and so on. Same with the VMS, you saw how I edited the name. So that's where you will edit the name. All right, and you can answer all these questions and save it. This is a workbook to give you that hands-on experience, all right, that comfort, the confidence that you have worked in our camera. Right after this, there will be one more link given to you. It is an exam link. Exam link will be exactly the same question. How, what is this camera? Is it outdoor? Is it can be used outdoor? What is it, X series? And what about the 5 steps? How to reduce false alarm and motion detect? Same questions you will be getting what we covered, right? So just to verify whether you have fully understood our camera configuration, right? No tricky questions, all are straightforward questions. All right. Now, that brings us to the end of today's class.